Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
What are some of the most typical things that you see need to be cleaned up from a business owner's perspective that they're not even thinking about or they don't worry about?
Okay, so I'm gonna go, if it's all right, a little bit broader than that. Then maybe we can go business, because a lot of it's just basic lifestyle stuff. So one of the questions I often get asked on podcasts is, well, is there a secret? What's the number one principle for building long-term sustainable wealth? And I always tell them, you're not gonna like this answer. And they're like, well, okay, well, what is it? It's living within your means. And people are like, okay, that's really simple. Like, our listeners know that. I'm like, yeah, but they're not doing it. So
they're not doing it.
It's kind of like saying, well, what do I need to do to get in better shape? Well, you need to eat less and move more. Okay, I already know that. Yeah, but you're not doing it. So, I mean, I've got a McDonald's on one side of our office, and there's a Subway over here. Like, there's people go into
lucky
those.
you.
Yeah, people go. Like, there's always a line out the back door. You know, it's breakfast time here in Alaska right now, and everybody goes in there knowing that, yeah, this is probably not a great decision for my future, but they do it anyway. So it isn't enough to know. We have to execute. And one of the things I try to tell my kids is education without execution is merely entertainment. If you are learning things without implementing them in your life, you're not going to get much benefit. So to live within your means, it sounds, okay, yeah, that's obvious. But if you have no margin to put towards the future, you can't build. The other part of that is if let's just say, Khalil, your example, $200,000 a year. If that is the net profit you're drawing from your business, and you're living off of $200,000, not only is there no margin to build outside of your business, but number two, you're requiring everything you're bringing in to live comfortably. If you can trim your budget down to $150,000, you can still have a pretty comfortable life. But it's done two things for you. Number one, you have $50,000 now that you can put towards the future. And you don't have to replace your entire income to live comfortably. So that's kind of the philosophical aspect of this. The practical aspect, okay, where do we look for cuts? And a lot of times, there's all these apps out there that will look at how many subscriptions you have and things like that. And you can nickel and dime some stuff, but for some people, we need to make it looking big cuts. I've met people who are making $70,000, $80,000 a year, and they drive a $120,000 truck. Like that's not going to work, guys. So I think one of the big things is vehicle expenses, whether that's in your business or outside. Car loans are so ubiquitous now that I've had people tell me that they're debt free, other than their house and their car. I'm like, well, that's still debt. Like, well, it's a good kind of debt. Well, it's kind of like saying, well, I've got cancer, but it's a really treatable kind of cancer, so not a big deal. Well, at the end of the day, you still have cancer. So debt is like cancer to your budget and to building your freedom. You start, if you're in debt, and I don't care if it's quote unquote good debt, or I guess we should say more respectable debt, like college loans, student loans, business debt, real estate debt. At the end of the day, it's still a liability. So it might be better than credit card debt, but it can still destroy your financial future if you let it. So getting really clear about what are the debts, what do I owe? Because it doesn't matter who you're paying at the beginning of the month if you're paying somebody else besides you.
Yeah.
And for people who have debt, that's what you begin every single month playing from behind, because you're paying the bank, you're paying the car loan company, you're paying whomever before you start paying yourself, your future self. I believe paying God first. That's my own personal thing. But
it's great.
But I don't believe starting every month by paying Bank of America. That's not where I want the first fruits to go. But if you're religious, if that's important to you, paying God first, but then paying yourself and paying your future self, that should be at the top. So I think eliminating personal consumer debt, even before looking at the business, can be really powerful, because how you live your day-to-day life, the habits you have there, will affect and have a ripple effect into how you run your business.
Absolutely.
Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think a lot of times you have to pull so much money out of the business because you're actually just funding your lifestyle when that money could really go to work for you inside the business to be able to hire the better person, to be able to implement, the software that you're putting off that would actually allow you to be more efficient and to make more revenue and get a better bottom line at the end of the day. So it totally makes sense that if you're living a lavish lifestyle when you can't really afford it, it's only going to hurt the business, which is really your biggest leverage to be able to earn money and get it into a retirement account at some point, right? So makes total sense. Okay, so let's say we've cleaned that up. Hey, Chad, I know my number. I know my timeline. I know exactly where I am today. And I've got my lifestyle figured out. My budget is, tight. I've got it together. It's clear. Where do I go from here?
In this step, the step we just talked about can kind of be done simultaneously with what I'm going to be talking about too. And it's the hope or the strategy is, as you're paying down debt, as you're cleaning up debt, then you roll that debt payment into the next debt payment. So for example, let's say let's say you got 2 cars. Okay. That's your only debt. So you're going to put all your effort and energy into paying down probably the smallest loan first. If you've got a truck you owe $20,000 on and a truck you owe $40,000 on, we're going to put all our effort and energy on the $20,000 truck, and we'll pay the minimums on the 40. And then once that's paid off, we'll roll all the extra energy and effort from the first payment into the second. So once you get that first payment, and whether it's a truck or a medical bill or a student loan payment, you get that first debt paid off, you can then snowball that first payment plus all the extra into the second. When you get that first domino to fall, they start falling pretty quickly.
And this is before putting any money in the market. This is before going into index funds or whatever.
Yep. If you have consumer debt, now, so for some folks, they're going to already have money in investments, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But for folks who are in debt, they're trying to clean that up. Dave Ramsey calls it the snowball method. It works phenomenally well. It's like pushing a car. It's hard to get the momentum started. Once you get the car rolling, then you don't have to work as hard. But just encouraging your listeners that those first 2 or 3 months, as you're trying to create new habits, you're trying to get that first debt paid off. That's where a lot of your energy and effort is going to go. But once you start getting momentum, it doesn't seem quite as arduous. It's not quite as grueling as it was to get that car rolling at first. So now you've built up this debt snowball. You're paying your debt off in chunks now. You're not nickel and diming it. You're taking good, healthy chunks. When that debt is paid off, those same payments that used to go to your bank or your credit card company can now go towards your future. So you've already kind of isolated a chunk of your budget that isn't part of your day-to-day. It used to be funding your past. It used to be funding the things that you paid for or that you purchased in the past but didn't have the money to pay for, like the TV, the truck, the college, or whatever. Now they can pay your future. And this is where that financial number is really important, because we can know pretty much exactly what you're going to need to put towards your future every single month. And this is really powerful on 2 things. Number one, just having that clarity is really nice. If I need to save $1,200 a month to hit my future goals, whatever the number is, even if that's a stretch for me right now, at least I know. Like I know what I have to accomplish. And I think for a lot of people listening to this podcast, they're the types of people, if you give them a goal and target, even if it's hard, but they know what they have to do, they're going to figure out eventually how to make it happen. You give them a spot up on the top of a mountain, say, that's where we're going. Here's what it's going to take. It's going to be hard. Not everybody, a lot of people aren't going to make the journey, but they're going to figure out a way to get there. The other really cool part about this is it allows you to live more present, because this isn't saving as much as possible. It isn't living off of beans and rice, selling a kid or a kidney to try to get to financial independence. That's a joke, by the way. Don't sell your kids. I have 6, so if anybody wants an extra, or anybody wants one. But you have a finite, tangible number that you need to save every single month. And that's a win. So when you hit that number, yeah, you still might be a ways off from financial independence. You might be a ways off from your long-term target, but this month or this week was a win. You did what you need to do to serve your future self. So you can live a little bit. You can put money aside for vacation. You can put money aside for your kids' college. You take somebody out to eat. You can help somebody who's in need, because there's a finite amount of money that you need to put aside every single month.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, might be there, might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.